Well, our next guest is a business success story in his own right. Starting out 20 years ago with Eros, he has moved through the ranks and is now the COO responsible for major operational aspects of Eros's business, steering the company towards an annual turnover of 2 million dirhams despite the economic downturn. Rajat Asthana, great to have you in the studio here with Kitch and Neeil.
Hi, and thank you very much for having me in the studio. It's a pleasure to be at Talk 100.3.
Well, it's great to hear someone that also knows that producer Pranav is often late. You've been hearing him do the quiz.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I love your show, guys. And, you guys are doing a great job. And the entire team behind Talk 100.3, I must congratulate you. I mean, it's wonderful, to listen to you guys.
That's very, very kind of you to, say these kind words. Now, we will turn and shift focus to Eros. Bunch of competitions in this market. It is never too easy to stand out in a market which is as crowded as Dubai, and with a population that is very price sensitive. How has Eros stood out and faced the test of time in the last 20 years?
We've been here for more than 50 years. So we are 56 years old. We started with a small shop in Dera. And from there, we've expanded now to a company which will close its business at, I think, close to $2 billion dirhams in this year, and with 1,000 employees today. And of course, we sell a lot of electronics in the market. And we have two aspects to our business. One is retail, of course, which are retail stores. So we have 15 of our own retail stores which sell all kinds of electronics, appliances, mobiles, and gadgets. And then, of course, we also have a big business in terms of distribution, where we have partnered with major brands to distribute them in the entire market. So when it comes to retail, we may not be the biggest, but obviously we aim to be the best. And what makes us stand out against our competition is that we focus a lot on the service aspect of selling our product. So our sales is not just selling the product, but also the whole process of buying in terms of our staff, which gives all the information and helps you make a very educated choice in terms of buying. Rather than trying to push what we want to sell, we try to give you what you want. And apart from that, follow it up with some excellent, delivery and installation. By the way, we do our own deliveries and installations. We don't outsource it to anybody. So we have better control in terms of quality of the deliveries and installation, which is a very important aspect in electronics and appliances. I mean, you want your product to be delivered and installed well. You want a demonstration, when you have a new product. That's the first thing that you look forward to. And then going forward in terms of, when you use it and if you come across any of the problems, we have our service centers and customer care, which is taking care of any problem at any point of time. So the entire experience of, buying, using a product which comes from Eros is what we try to make it to be the, absolute pleasure. So, that's what I mean. We want to stand out in terms of our service. And I guess product is the same. Which everybody sells.
Very true.
But it's pretty much, the service where we want to be.
I was going through Dubai Hills Mall on the weekend because my girlfriend decided that 19,000 cushions on the bed wasn't enough. So as she's going through the cushion shop, I'm going through because I'm a tech nerd. And what I liked about going to Eros was I wasn't bombarded with 10,000 people coming up to me every second. I just wanted to go in because I was curious to see whether the Sony XM5s were in what color. So I'm just browsing around, and I was they were happy to support me, but not bombard you like some stores with 100 people.
So not being very big sometimes can be an advantage, right? Yeah. So I mean, when you go to a big store, this is typically what happened to you. You're intimidated and bombarded with this army of promoters. These are promoters basically from the brands which are deputed at these stores, and they will look like staff of that particular store, but they are actually employee of the brand which is trying to sell you. So
you're revealing what goes on.
That's right.
So is that really the case? So if I'm sitting there and I'm looking at the Samsung TVs, there's the Sony guy that's the spy who's trying to pull me over.
Yeah, he'll try to pull you. He'll be wearing the same T-shirt which everybody else does. But what he does is he will very cleverly pull you across to the Sony TV and try to sell you a Sony TV because he's an employee of Sony or employee of the distributor who's selling the Sony. In our case, I mean, it so happens, it's not by design, but it so happens that we don't have so many promoters.
Okay.
So it's basically our own staff.
That explains
and when you
why-
have our own staff, you'll probably able to guide your consumer better and, help him make a much better choice rather than, pushing what you just want to sell and bombard with the information which you want to give. So
Because
I
I
mean,
was
that's
at
what it
I
is.
was at one store and I wanted one set of headphones. They were
Okay.
Bose. You know what he did? He pulled out the Sennheisers from his pocket, and he goes, "No, you can try them on." I was like, "I'm not trying on your earbuds, buddy."
So yeah, this is probably one of the features or one of the things which basically does help a customer make a better choice because he's not being sold what you want to sell him, but you're selling him what he needs, what he requires.
So is electronics a seasonal market? Right, I mean, we're just getting into the back to school time.
Right.
Do parents come in and start shopping like they would back in the day, shop for bags and books? Do they come and shop for electronics?
Yeah, I mean, the seasonality factor is always there. So you have these major, promotion seasons. Back to school over the years has become a major part
Right.
of, retail calendar or, the promotions that you have, in the year. So yeah, I mean, back to school is one of the major promotions that earlier it used to be, books and uniforms
True.
and
Shoes.
but, now it's moved to tablets and laptops, which is now taking, over from the other stuff. So, yeah, there are parents and there are, children coming over and trying to buy, a lot of these gadgets, which they would use, as the academic year starts. And a lot of brands are now tailor-made, making these promotions which are meant for the back to school. So, you're bundling in things like software along with the hardware.
Right.
You're giving up upgrades. You're doing trade-ins in terms of, trying to say that bring in your old laptop and we'll give you a new laptop at a discount. Easy payment plans, buy now, pay later. Extended warranties and stuff like that. So I mean, this is
is the time.
one of the major, let's say, points of or part where your promotions come in, kick in.
Yeah, we're in conversation at the moment with the COO of Eros, Rajat Asthana, and I need to get your advice because I'm an Apple fan, and mostly Apple. So is Neil, but you've got some deals on some Samsung Galaxy phones.
Right.
So there's the Galaxy Z Fold 5 and the Galaxy Z Flip 5. I like those because the Flip's kind of a bit retro, so I do like that. But you've been doing some work with the exclusive partner for the Nothing 2 phone as well with the launch. What are some of these innovations that customers can choose from?
Well, these are the I would say the flavor of the season right now. I
Yeah.
mean, you've got this major launch which happened, which was the the new foldables, which is the Z Flip and the Z Fold, which has come in, and it's eliciting a very good response from the consumers. As you typically know, I mean, most of the consumers are split between basically Apple phones like you or Apple users, iOS fans on the Android side, where Samsung takes the major share. Just for your information, these two brands in UAE account for more than 80% of the sales of mobile phones. So they pretty much dominate the entire market when it comes to mobile phones. So yeah, the Z Flip and the Fold are the the flavor of the season. Typically, I think I'm very impressed with the new Flip. It's got a much bigger screen on the outside, and you can do a lot more even when the Flip is closed, as against the earlier version of the Flip. And that's what we are seeing, a much bigger response, and a lot of people coming in asking for the new Flip phone. The Fold, of course, minor changes, but continues to be what they position it as a PC in your pocket.
That's
So
right, yeah.
That's what they
It's almost
call
like
it.
a closet
Yeah,
of
it's
sorts.
like a closet
Yeah.
this thing. But yeah, I mean, it's good watching a movie on it.
True.
Or working on a spreadsheet. You've got a stylus by which you can, let's say, write and do your scribbling on it and the stuff. So I mean, basically, these two phones, foldables, as you know, is still very much a category which was pioneered by Samsung, and this is the 5th generation of foldables that they've brought in. They brought in a lot of improvement over these 5 years on the foldables, and you can see that now they're holding a fairly sizable share. I mean, to us, foldables account for almost about 30-35% of the business, of the sales. So yeah, foldables is is
The way to
a
be.
big, and I think it's here to stay. And we see a lot of other brands coming up with foldables.
I'll talk about it. Just shift focus to another brand that had tied up with Shah Rukh Khan back in the days, 2006-7, I believe, if I'm not mistaken. And Shah Rukh Khan was the brand ambassador of this. He also had this flip phone in one of the movies, Dawn, right, where he opens the phone, and it was so stylized. There was so much swag in it that I ended up buying that phone. And obviously, yes, I fell in love with the phone and got all the attention. Do these modern day flip phones actually flip open, or do you really have to use all your strength, because they have to be sturdy? The previous ones were like thin as razor.
Right. Yeah. Okay. I got it. Yeah.
Well, you see, I'm the same. I remember watching movies and all the guys doing illegal activities. It was so much more dramatic when they knew the cops were onto them. Was how they would
burner
break.
phones.
Yeah. It was much better.
No. So
Not that Eros is doing anything like that.
No, so one of the major things has been, how do you improve the quality of the hinge?
Right.
So
Yes.
the hinge in the foldable is probably the most important part of the phone, because, as you rightly said, you need the right amount of strength for it to, let's say, stay durable and, work its folding aspect of the phone. So there has been, a marked improvement in terms of the engineering of the hinge.
Right.
And that's what's making it, much better in terms of, let's say, usability and flexibility. And it's quite, I would say, easy now. And you can flip it open and close it, pretty easily.
There's a screen, there is a lot of doubt that was because when the flips and the folds came in, the conversations was that will the screen be able to take the load of multiple folds that the phone goes through, or the flips that the phone goes through? What does the brand has to say when something like this comes out?
I mean, again, in the initial, generation of the fold and the flip, we had this issue, that the screen had a kind of after some usage, it had a kind of a line or
crease
some kind of a
came in,
crease,
yeah.
which would, kind of hinder your viewing experience of the phone with the screen. But, over the period of years, they've improved on it a lot. And now what you have is almost like a seamless, let's say, fold in between. So which means that the moment you open it up, even after multiple uses, you won't really feel the crease or, the seam, in the middle of this big screen. So, yeah, I mean, they've done a lot of work. I think
sure.
a lot of work has gone into, making fold better and better and better. And I see that they probably are betting a lot on this device, to take some share from their nearest competitor, which is very strong.
Do you think that's the best phone on the market?
I'm not very sure about that, Yeah, I mean, it is one of the best phones, of course, in terms of, the features it packs in.
Yeah.
And obviously it has the added advantage of, being a foldable, which gives a special, let's say, advantage to this kind of a phone. I'm not very sure if it is, but it's definitely one of the best phones, I think, available in the market.
Your business is unusual because you're able to dominate both online and in store. But what are some of the challenges you would say facing retail? Is it the hardest thing of how many people kind of can go into a bricks and mortar stall and look around and then try things on, and then they go and buy it cheaper online, which we've all been guilty of? I mean, or what's the growth in the next year? Because I remember during COVID, everyone's locked away. We're starting podcasts, we're buying lights, we're trying to buy all this extra gear, and things always constantly evolve. What do you think is going to be the new growth sectors for electronics in the next 12 months?
Well, for sure. I mean, since COVID, online has seen a much bigger growth than the offline. But of course, again, post-COVID, there has been a bit of a movement or shift back to offline. I mean, Dubai will always remain, a very retail-centric, market where, most of us like to go to the mall and, buy from the shop. But it's becoming a seamless kind of, experience or a process where you go offline, you check a product in the store, and then you go online. And at the same time in the store, when you're standing in the store, you're actually going online and trying to check. And most of the times, you probably buy it out because of the price, because obviously the online operators are today occupying that position of probably being able to give you that little extra discount, which you probably may not get in offline. So you probably have lower pricing in online. So you have that, but you have your own challenges. You've got I mean, people selling, goods from outside without warranty, without, the proper technical, let's say, specs which are required for this market, 2-pin plugs, all kind of products are coming into the online space. And then, of course, is the issue of warranties. There are times when you probably won't get warranty or service for the product which you have bought because, it's come from somewhere which is not backed by a warranty. So you have all these kind of challenges. But for sure, I mean, online is growing very rapidly. We ourselves are having our own online platform to, kind of have this omni-channel experience to our consumers. We are also, as a distributor, aligned ourselves very strongly with some of the big online operators, in the market. And our, back end and our logistics has kind of changed over the last 2-3 years to be able to align ourselves with the online business, which is very different.
And how hard is it when you're trying to negotiate with some of these big multinational electronic providers? I mean, margins, you often hear about Apple products. Some of the margins are so slim on some of the products. It must take an immense amount of negotiation to try and get deals and constantly have great relationships with these companies.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that is one of our major strengths, I mean, is basically the way we manage our relationships with our, brand partners. I mean, with these 50 years, we've built a lot of capability of, being able to give what the brand partners expect from us in terms of retail and distribution. And also, have an understanding in terms of how you need to buy and what you need to buy and how you need to negotiate in terms of rebates, in terms of margins. So, yeah, I mean, that's a very important part. It's not something which comes across very obviously, but then, I mean, at the back of it, most of our hard work goes into, managing the relationships with these big, massive giants. And it's not easy, with these guys. I mean, it's pretty tough. But yeah, I mean, we've kind of figured it out in these 50 years. How to do that.
That's understandable. But also, when you have a relationship with a few brands of which you are the distributors, the official distributors in the country, does that also enable you to get better rates as compared to some of the other retailers? Does providing and sharing that benefit with your buyers directly?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the fact remains that the more you buy, the better deals you get. The better terms you get. And since we are apart from retail, we do a distribution. So we have a combination of retail and distribution. So some of our volumes of in terms of buying from the brands to whom we represent as distributors is fairly large. As a result of which we are able to negotiate with them that little bit extra. Some of it obviously is passed on to the consumer. So yeah, I mean, we are able to do this because of the fact that we do sizable business with these brands, and we do a lot of buying over a period of the year, so we are able to get better terms with them. And obviously we try to see that we can pass it on to our consumer as much as possible, and keep our volumes up so that we continue to buy big volumes from them.
Well, Rajat, congratulations on your success. On a personal level, it's an amazing story to you start out 20 years ago and now to end up the COO of this company, which is taking on some of the biggest online retailers and succeeding and creating jobs and helping to stimulate the economy. If you want to obviously check out the bargains, you know where to go. Eros.ae, EROS.ae. Rajat Asthana, the COO of Eros. Thank you very much for your time and coming and sharing part of your story. TSB, Talk Sport Business.